You ever stop to wonder why interest is haram in Islam? So interest, usury, riba. Why is interest so haram? And this society has interest in everything, whether it be life insurance, whether it be getting a mortgage on a house, whether it be getting a loan, whether it be getting student loans. Everything has this interest attached to it. So what is interest? Interest is basically when I give you $100 and I'm like, hey, in 2 years, I expect $150. And then you're like, okay, that sounds good. But if you don't make that payment, there is an interest rate that goes up, whether it be 2%, 3%, 7%. So every month you're making these payments and you're paying a principal. So you're paying extra money every year. So eventually, say it takes you 2 years to pay it, you're not really paying $150, you're paying $222. Why? Because there was a payment, a small little lump sum every month you had to pay. And this is how interest works. So again, interest is predatory to people who are borrowing money. And if you are borrowing money, do you think you're on the higher scale of net worth or lower scale of net worth? And again, this is a huge predatory scheme and where interest is haram for one of these reasons. Charging interest is seen as a form of exploitation and injustice in Islam. And it's obviously particularly towards the people who are lacking money. It ends up leading to a concentration of wealth in a very small amount of people's hands. So again, Islam promotes the well-being of a culture, of a society, of a community. And interest is not aligned with the social justice principles that Islam has. Because again, someone is going to be hurt because of this interest. People who are wealthy and have the money are going to be profitable, but the people who are struggling and need help aren't. Islam promotes risk sharing and cooperation. Charging interest without sharing in the risk of losing the money is haram, and it's considered unfair. In Islamic finance, profit and loss is shared mutually upon both parties upon a fixed amount. And again, another reason is the preservation of wealth and property. So again, as the person who's lending the money, you're going to in turn wait 5-7 years and you're going to make more money than the person who borrowed the money from. So again, it's detrimental to the person who's borrowing the money. And again, in Islam, it's spiritually and morally impermissible because it's wrong. It's wrong to do it. It's wrong to charge someone money for something they're borrowing as long as it's money to money, right? But it's money to money and time, right? They're basically charging you interest on the time taking needed to spend the money. And this becomes really hard because in our society, everything has interest. And the thing is the prohibition of interest, riba, usury, was there in the pre-Arabian models of finance. But again, it was rich people basically exploiting the poor. And again, when the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, got the message from Allah, from God, it was understood that, this ain't allowed. This is clips. We should not be doing this because it's hurting our community. And in any society that allows interest to happen, it ends up destroying the economy. A really simple and quick example is if I'm a bank and I had $1 billion in mortgages that I was selling to these properties. I then will in turn, in 20 years, make $2 billion because of, again, the interest. But imagine this. What banks are doing basically is CDOs, in where now the bank that had that $2 billion of mortgages that they will get in 20 years, they'll go sell it to another bank or another institution and say, hey, I'll sell this to you for $1.3 billion. So eventually you're going to profit the $700 million. So they'll do this over and over and over again and constantly make this little lump of money where it's $300 million a year, $200 million a year. And they'll keep doing this and lending. And then as they're lending, they're also taking out insurance claims on the lending that they're doing in case something goes wrong. So even if they were to lose it, they're putting $50 million in the insurance and boom, if it goes wrong, they get $1 billion back. So they're never really losing money. So they're winning on both ends of the spectrum. And again, it's basically betting on crashes. You're betting on a house getting burnt on fire. Even when it comes to life insurance, are you betting on your life? And again, it's so predatory to people without money. And it's only really making the banks and the Federal Reserve lending all the money make more money. How is that fair? And again, with Islam, it makes sense. Islam, a lot of the rules and regulations that are within the culture and the religion, they cut it at the root. They stop it at the root. So they say everything. No riba, no usury, no interest. Money to money only. Fair. That's it. And again, in doing so, it helps economically and allows for crashes like the 2008 not to happen. Why? Because they were giving out mortgages left and right, and where they knew they couldn't afford. They were making sure that people could afford it for the first year, 2 years, and they were making them really low payments. But then fast forward, they took all that money that we talked about, right? That those 300 millions, they made money, and they also bought on the way down, where if it crashes, they had insurance. So the only people that got hurt were the people. And this happens all the time in our society now that we have interest in everything we're doing. Look at student loans. What do you guys think? This is a simple breakdown on why interest is haram in Islam. But let me know what you guys think. If you learned something today, let me know. Leave a comment down below what you think about this whole rule. And again, please share, like, subscribe, share with all your friends, and leave a comment because, again, YouTube loves it, the algorithm loves it, and I really appreciate you guys' support. I'll see you guys next Friday for another talk.